Learning is a lifelong process that does not exclude educators. Professional development refers to the process in which teachers bolster their own learning. Teachers' professional roles expand and adapt with society. This requires teachers to be proactive in identifying and analysing their own learning needs, so that they are better equipped to empower students to face this continuously changing world. The Australian professional standards for teachers can be used in this way to recognise teachers' current and developing capabilities, professional aspirations and achievements. Researchers describe these standards as being a framework by which teachers can judge the success of their learning and assist with self-reflection. The following professional development opportunities provided by the Department of Education have been considered in terms of their ability to satisfy these three Australian professional standards that relate closely to culturally responsive teaching. The QCAA has 4 upcoming professional development opportunities that can be related to Standard 1.3 of the Australian Professional Standards of Teachers. While none of these events are directly aimed at developing a knowledge of diverse students, they do contain strategies that could be applied to students from diverse backgrounds. For example, feedback is information a teacher gives back to the learner they can use. A key feature of both effective feedback and working with diverse cultural groups is creating low-threat conditions. A positive class climate is built on the kinds of teacher feedback that validates students' culture and views of the world. Another example of a PD that connects to this standard is the Mathematical Literacies webinar. Again, while not explicitly aimed at student diversity, its emphasis on purposeful mathematics is geared towards creating a student-initiated discourse, which is a strategy of culturally responsive teaching. Purposeful mathematics refers to the raised awareness of resources and opportunities for teachers. Part of having a raised awareness is acknowledging the diversity in the classroom and building on funds of knowledge. The Reboot education workshops, while not specifically aimed at developing strategies of teaching Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students, do explore strategies for developing self-regulation in students and responses to students affected by trauma. Researchers have noted that Aboriginal people have not and still do not have sufficient power to control or change the cultural messages of mainstream education. The relationships between schools and Aboriginal people have been deeply affected by colonial histories of exclusion and systematic disadvantage. With this in mind, there is a very real chance that these students have been affected by trauma in some way. Having tools that empower these students can be transformative in reconciling negative feelings towards any cultural group, language, or ethnicity. The PD offered by the Social Educators Association, Valuing Democracy, again while not directly boosting a participant's understanding of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, could be used as a means of boosting awareness of this country's dominant culture. Awareness is the first dimension of Hammond's framework for culturally responsive teaching. Knowing one's own cultural lens has the potential to broaden interpretations of behaviour, expose biases, and acknowledge socio-political contexts. Being aware of one's own historical privilege better positions the teacher to understand why they respond in a certain way, and what comparisons can be made to the experience of being Aboriginal in Australia. Included in the list of PDs are a few courses that do not directly relate to the standards of teachers, but would nevertheless be useful knowledge to have in terms of student safety. Thank you for listening.